Hello and welcome to Business Nigeria. I am TOLULOPE OGUNJOBI. Let's look at some top business stories from Nigeria and, of course, around the world. Well, the biggest story in the world of business, it's no more news that the Nigeria's inflation rate drops 6th consecutive time. That's according to the reports and data from the National Bureau of Statistics. We'll be looking at that in the course of the show. Let's see how this trickles down to the Nigerian masses. But first, the Central Bank of Nigeria continues its intervention in the interbank foreign exchange market to the tune of $250 million in 3 segments of the market. In the wholesale segment of the interbank forex market, it sold $100 million and also uplifted the small and medium enterprises and invisible segments with a sum of $85 million and $65 million, respectively. Now, the acting director of corporate communications of the Apex Bank, Isaac Okorafor, revealed that the bank would pump even more liquidity into the system and the market in the coming days, noting that the move by the CBN is necessary to enhance stability in the forex market. He added that the bank has kept faith with its resolve to ensure that there is sustained liquidity to meet genuine requests for forex. The Naira appreciated to 359 Naira to the dollar as at Monday, stronger than 361 Naira the previous day. Now, consumer prices in Nigeria increased 16.05% year-on-year in July of 2017, easing slightly from a 16.1% rise in June. Now, the inflation rate is still higher compared to market expectations of 16%. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, this is the lowest rate since May of 2016. NBS reports indicates that there is a slowdown in the cost of housing and energy. And inflation rate in Nigeria averaged 12.42% from 1996 until 2017, I beg your pardon, reaching an all-time high of 47.56% in January of 1996 and a record low of minus 2.49% in January of the year 2000. This makes it the 6th consecutive decline in the rates of headline year-on-year inflation since January 2017. On a month-on-month basis, the headline index increased by 1.21% in July 2017, 0.37 percentage points lower from the rate of 1.58% recorded in June. However, selected food price watch data for July 2017 reflected that the average price of 1 dozen of agric eggs, medium size, increased year-on-year by 33% and decreased month-on-month by 3% to 498 Naira 50 kobo in July from 514 Naira 6 kobo in June 2017. The average price of 1 kilogram of tomatoes increased year-on-year by 15.65% and month-on-month by 5.10% to 394 Naira in July from 375 Naira in June. The average price of 1 kilogram of imported rice increased year-on-year by 21% and decreased month-on-month by 1.6%. Similarly, the average price of 1 kilogram of yam tuber increased year-on-year by 41% and month-on-month by 0.71%. Well, interesting there. Inflation rate seems to be coming down, but the fact remains that the price of foodstuffs in the market still remains on the high side. That's looking at the survey which we've conducted and also reports from analysts. But to put this in perspective, an economist, Aliyu Audu, joins us from our Abuja studios to shed more light on all of this discussion. Now, many thanks. Thank you for joining us again, Mr. Audu.
Thank you very much.
Now, inflation has been on the decline for 6 consecutive times now, that's 6 consecutive months. Now, do you think this has had any significant impact on the life of Nigerians?
Well, I wouldn't say it has a significant impact on the lives of Nigerians because, you know, some years back, I think inflation was at 8%, 8.2%. That's in 2015. And now is at 16%. And since January, it has been falling, coming down. Now, inflation is not increasing. That's good news. But having a significant impact on the lives of Nigerians, I don't think that is the case right now. More should be done to reduce the inflation, but that will be very difficult because let's look at what brought us to this position. Petrol was at 86 naira and it was moved to 145 naira, and the dollar was at 160 naira and it was moved to 360 naira that it is currently. So based on this increase of petrol and dollar, price of goods and services has also increased and that's what brought the inflation rate from 8% to 16%. So I do not think the small percentage decrease in price of inflation from 16.10% to 0.5% decrease is going to impact significantly on the lives of Nigeria. No, I don't think so.
Now, from what you just pointed out now, the price of petroleum products, which was, adjusted one way or the other, removal of subsidy by this administration, and also the Forex challenge which we faced, are you saying that some of these challenges are self-inflicted, or what do you think? Because looking at these two very important points, price of petroleum products and the dollars, that's the Forex issue. So are some of our problems self-inflicted, or what do you make of this?
Well, that's a very good question. Are these problems self-inflicted? Yes, in terms of our over-reliance on oil, I think I would say that that is self-inflicted, because what brought about the recession? What brought about the inflation? What brought about this was for the fact that there was fall in oil prices, and Nigeria is a mono economy. 95% to 90 to 95% of our earnings is from dollar. So what happens when the price of dollar is from oil? What happens once the price of oil falls? You notice that our earnings decreases. So I will say this is self-inflicted until we embrace diversification into other areas and to seek alternative income streams from other areas apart from oil, like tax, like agriculture, like solid minerals, and developing our infrastructure. I think we're not going to move forward. So whatever is going on now, if there's no massive investment in other areas like it's been done in other countries, like Brazil, Dubai, I think this problem can happen anytime in the future. So I agree with you that the problem we're facing right now, the recession and the inflation we're facing right now, is self-inflicted, and this is time for us to wake up and do something serious. I see a little bit of strides by the current administration, and I hope it continues in more giant strides.
Indeed. Now, let's look at some food prices where I have here, with the analysis I have here, the increase in bread, cereals, meat, fish, fats and oil, and also coffee and all of that. Now, these are mostly agricultural produce. Now, with the efforts by the government and this administration to address challenges or strengthen agriculture, would you say we are getting it right?
I think in terms of agriculture, we are trying, but we are not yet there, because Nigeria, we can produce more than we eat, and we can export also to earn foreign exchange, which is what we are not doing. I mean, recently there was the issue of exporting yam, and people were complaining that we don't have enough to eat. I mean, instead of complaining, we should encourage more people to go into farming. And increase the export market. Once there's more people into farming, more resources being given into farming by the government, then we can notice that there'll be more development in that area, in that farming section. So the government is trying, but a lot more has to be done. More investment has to be done in the agricultural sector. And all the bureaucracies, when it comes to people accessing funding for farming, has to be removed. I mean, if a large scale, a farmer goes into a bank, before you can get a loan, it's very difficult. So all these obstacles have to be removed if we are going to get to where we need to get to. I mean, it should be a form of partnership. It should not be a system whereby you have to go into a bank and put in your particulars and you have to wait a long queue before you get this facility. Government should have the partnership. Once they verify that you have the land and you're a certified farmer, they should be able to partner with you in a major way. So a little bit is being done. I see the NASAL incentive by the CBN. That is a good initiative. I see the UWIN and other programs going on right now. Well, that is good, but a lot needs to be done. We need massive investment in agriculture to get us to where we want to get to. Remember, we're trying to diversify, and using the concept of comparative cost advantage, investing in areas where you have advantage. I think if we invest a lot more in agriculture, we'll get good results.
I'll do that. And now, let's go on a break now. Aldo will still be on standby. We're going to be back shortly. Stay with us. It's Business Nigeria. Glad to have you back now, and we are looking at issues around inflation rates. That's the new figures just released by the National Bureau of Statistics, showing that Nigeria's inflation presently stands at 16.05%. That's another drop consecutively for 6 months. But the effect is what we are looking at. How far have we fared as Nigerians? And Aliu Audu has been speaking to me as an economist. He's been speaking from our Abuja studios, shedding light on these issues. Now, Aliu, before we went on that break, what came to my mind was the issue of non-oil exports, which we've been trying to boost. We know the Nigerian Export Promotion Council has been trying to do some things, trying to educate Nigerians to take advantage of agua and all this, which can also make us earn foreign exchange aside the one we earn from crude oil. Now, are we really taking advantage of all of these opportunities?
I don't think we're taking advantage of these opportunities. Because what we are trying to target, we're trying to at least get 50% of our
implement what we have in this document. Now, how far would you say we've gone with what we are seeing on ground and what we expect to achieve?
Well, we are just recovering from the recession, and our head is barely coming out. Remember, we had a recession, and from a recession, we moved into a stagflation because recession prices are supposed to be coming down, but in this situation, prices were going up, so we moved into a stagflation. So now we are just recovering, and we are seeing some positive growth. A lot has to be done. We still need to pursue a lot of expansionary monetary policies. And when I say expansionary monetary policies, we need to involve the CBN, we need to involve the Bank of Industry, and we need to involve major arms of the government into expanding or making available money into the economy, supporting the real sector. So these are the policies, expansionary policies are the policies we need to pursue right now, and money has to be pushed in to the real sector. We need to see a lot going on in the housing sector. We need to see a lot going on in other various sectors. So these are the policies the government needs to pursue if we are to succeed. If we are to succeed in experiencing positive economic growth, there has to be a lot of expansionary monetary policy. Thank you.
Expansionary monetary policies there from Audu Aliu. There, I must thank you, Aliu Audu. I must thank you very much for joining us and sharing your thoughts on the current inflation rate as it stands at 16.05% in Nigeria. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, away from inflation now, the Federal Operations Unit Zone A of the Nigerian Customs Service has secured more than 780 million naira's duty-paid value of consignments smuggled into the country. The command showcased more than 50 seized contrabands, which includes containers of used truck tires, assorted vehicles and truckloads of medicaments, and 147 sacks of Indian hemp. TVC News correspondent Ifunanya Eze reports.
It was a harvest of seizures at the Federal Operations Unit Zone A. Its warehouse and workshop spaces have been overtaken by containers and trucks overflowing with several smuggled items. The area controller of the command, Mohammed Uba, laments the negative impact of smuggling on the nation's economy and reiterated government's resolve to combat smuggling on all fronts.
We have vehicles, we have rice, we have used tires, we have Indian hemp, we have medicaments and other general merchandise. What will happen to them? That appropriate sanction will be applied to anybody who is found wanted. Over 783 million. That's money for the government. They wanted to change the government, we said no.
Speaking on the implication of smuggling fake medications and hard drugs into the country, Uba handed over the seized medicines and sacks of Indian hemp to the relevant agencies for further investigation and prosecution of offenders.
Since these illicit drugs are not good, we're making sure that they are not brought in, and when they are brought in, we get them and hand them over to the appropriate authority.
After the consignment has been taken over and the suspect handed over to us, we further carry out investigation to find out whether the products are actually registered, because there are some of them that have a NAFTA registration number on them. We want to confirm whether they are actually registered and whether the owner of the product whether it was the owner of the product that brought it in or it was a parallel importer.
The seizure is alarming in the sense that if it's allowed to get into the public, thousands of Nigerian youth will have been hooked, by drug.
Controller Uba also noted the federal government policies banning the importation of rice and vehicles through the land borders are still in force and declared that the seized items have been forfeited to government. Ifunanya Eze, TVC News, Lagos.
Well, now crude oil prices fell on the international market. That's on Tuesday, despite shutdowns of major oil fields by armed militants in Libya. Now at the London market, a barrel of Brent crude sells for $51. For the OPEC basket, price steadies at $49 per barrel. Market watchers say oil dealers are assessing the impact of harvest flood in Houston that has shut down refineries in the area. That's our show for you today. Join us another time for more insightful and detailed analysis. On behalf of the entire production crew, I must thank you very much for watching. I'll leave you with the figures of the exchange rate as it stands today. I am TOLULOPE OGUNJOBI.